Welcome to Showcase Studios. My name is Michael Wardy. I'm a certified financial planner and regional director at Source Advisors, where we are working with our clients and their CPAs on various areas of tax incentive programs, including the research and development tax credit, cost segregation, energy efficient incentives, as well as LIFO calculations. I have with me my colleague, Al Schmidt. Welcome, Al. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you, Michael. Glad to be here.
Thank you. As well as Sam Altman, who is the Director of Tax Credit Incentives at Monarch Capital. Welcome.
Yeah, thanks, Michael and Al, for having me on today.
Our pleasure. Our pleasure. So the reason that we wanted to have Sam join us today is because Al and I, in working with CPAs and their clients, are bringing the incentives and the ideas and the strategies related to what we offer in-house. Oftentimes we're getting clients coming back to us and CPAs saying, what else is available? Or they hear about something and they're not sure where to go. We're becoming that one-stop resource for CPAs and their clients when they're thinking or they're curious, is there something else? And we've worked with Sam for, I think, a little over a year now and have brought a couple of clients and opportunities to Monarch Capital and helping them maximize additional incentives. And what we wanted to do today, Sam, is learn more about Monarch Capital, learn more about you and your position there, and also if we can get some understanding of opportunities, case studies, all that fun stuff.
Absolutely.
Perfect. So I guess just to start out, Sam, let's hear about Monarch Capital and what you guys are bringing to the table for clients.
Yes. So Monarch Private Capital is considered a tax credit syndication and broker. We operate in the four areas of affordable housing, film, renewable energy, as well as historic rehabilitation. In those areas, there's always usually a state and federal tax credit component, and Monarch Private Capital places those state and federal tax credit with institutions, insurance companies, banks, as well as high net worth individuals and anyone that really wants to save on their state or federal tax liabilities. Oh, Michael, I believe you're on mute.
I am. That's okay. That happens. So Sam, what is your position there? What's your role at Monarch Capital?
So I'm, as you can see, Director of Tax Credit Investments. And what I do is I go and I find institutions as well as high net worth individuals and taxpayers that can utilize these tax credits on their tax returns, on their federal and state. I also work a little bit on the placement side as well and do some business development with finding opportunities for our team to place credits too as a source of monetization for institutions that do have credits and don't really know what to do with them or go to the marketplace to sell them.
Got it. So I know we have a couple of clients that we've referred over to you, and oftentimes we get an email or it is. We'll get an email or a call. Now you can speak to this as well. And the sender will say, do you guys do this? And usually we send it over to Sam. We call Sam. We don't share confidential information, obviously, but we'll give Sam a call and say, hey, here's a scenario. Can you guys help? Can you help us understand or help the audience and with our subscribers, listeners, with our viewership, help understand where you guys fit into that picture, when it makes sense to bring you guys into a conversation?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you have a client and if your client has a tax credit that they get from an investment or they're doing a development and they need capital or they need someone to take the credits, they will come to us and we can assist actually with helping them in the beginning stages of their developments by providing some references to financial institutions that they can help get lending from, as well as bridge lending, as well as being a source for the tax credits. So we can take these tax credits and then place them with institutions where they don't have to worry about that. And since we've done it many times over again since 2004, we have relationships and expertise to make it pretty seamless for our clients on both ends, from the development side as well as the actual institution side and end user side.
Got it.
And Sam, are there particular areas or regions, states, if you will, where you operate?
So different states have different types of credits, and really at Monarch, any state that has a transferable credit or a credit that can be transferred is a state that we're actively seeking credits for. So certain states with affordable housing are now passing bills, since the housing crisis is becoming pretty evident, and there will be new state tax credits in certain states, and we're very active in the early stages of that process. So at the end of the day, pretty much wherever there is a tax credit, we're very active in that market. And a lot of our clients do pay taxes in all 50 states. So we do have those relationships with Fortune 50 companies, Fortune 500 companies, and multi-tax paying clients.
That's great. That's great. So Sam, I know there's a couple of scenarios that you'd like to share. So I'm going to switch the screen over right now, have you take and have you share that. Hold on one second. There we go.
Yeah, so in this example, this is Silo City in Buffalo, New York. And Buffalo is a city that has a lot of history to it, but there's also a lot of abandoned buildings and a lot of growth potential as well. So in this project, Silo City, it's the first phase of many other phases. This was an abandoned mill where they had grain, or a grain silo. And at one point, this silo could hold up to 11 million bushels of grain at a time. This building sat vacant for many years and was one of the first things you saw as you came into Buffalo. So what a developer did was they came in and they decided to develop this building into a multi-family housing complex, as well as shops, as well as a place where they can really bring the community together to really harvest the culture of Buffalo and really develop Buffalo, since it's on the river and in a way for people to come together. And as you can see, that this project created close to 1,100 jobs. It's going to have an annual tax impact of about $16 million a year, and increase the GDP of the local community of Buffalo by quite a lot. So this is an example of where you had federal historic tax credits involved, federal affordable housing tax credits involved, and then you had some brownfield historic state credits for developing and really reinvigorating this area.
And Sam, quick question: when does someone contact you on this?
So this was actually a relationship that we had with a developer, and they came to us at the beginning stages, since the tax credits was a major equity piece in starting this development in the capital stack. So many years before they actually broke ground on this, we had this project in our pipeline, and we're in the beginning stages of development part.
So once the project starts, is there anything that they can do? Or is it really something they have to do before they start this?
This is something they really have in place, or try to have in place, before they start breaking ground on the project. And they really want to have the capital stack in place before they start breaking ground. And I believe in many cases you need to have that in place.
Okay.
Got it. All right. I know you have another scenario, so let's switch back over to see that one.
Yes, so this is actually a solar project, and this is called Logansport, and it's in Logansport, Indiana. And the cool thing about this solar project is that Logansport used to be run on coal for 132 years, and they shut that coal plant down, which distinguished jobs, and they did not have a power source, or coal was their main power source. So this is very essential to have in the community, because now they will be able to transition to renewable energy, as well as educate the local community on renewable energy. And the federal tax credits was a component of this in the development. So when you have a federal or a solar project, you have federal renewable tax credits as one of the parts of the capital stack. You also have something considered sponsor equity, which is the owner of the project, and then you have debt on the project. So we placed the federal tax credits for this project in Logansport, Indiana. And as you can see, it's quite outstanding about the environmental impact of this development, because as you can see, it will power 117,000 homes, and it has the ability to power 88 billion cell phones without having to use gas or other fossil fuels.
And this is solar, right? So I know renewable energy is a hot topic these days, and Indiana has a lot of wind turbines, and there's other parts of the country that are big with solar. Other parts are big with wind. Does it apply to wind as well?
Yes, there is wind. We at Monarch Private Capital have not done much with wind, but there's different types of structures per se when it comes to wind versus renewable energy, to my knowledge.
Sure.
So this project will actually be powering or has a contract with the municipality of Logansport as well. So we'll be a very good source for power for that local community.
Yeah, good.
Yes, and then one more thing to add when it comes to renewable energy, a lot of institutions have been trying to invest in something called ESG, which is environmental, social, and governance. In Europe, they've been doing it for the last 5 to 10 years, and now it's becoming very prevalent in the United States. So a lot of companies can actually get ESG credit for investing in these types of tax credits. So in this certain situation, you can get environmental credit by investing through tax credits in a solar renewable energy project. So that's something that's become even more attractive to these types of investments. And then the next project that Monarch Private Capital did the tax credits for is Tranquility at Griffin. And this is an affordable housing unit located in Griffin, Georgia. And as you can see, it was a $20 million development. And the reason for affordable housing is, especially in the suburbs of Atlanta, is because Atlanta is becoming a city where people are moving in, and the price of rent has been driven up by all the people moving in and development. So this is a way for people that have lived in Griffin for a long time to still maintain residency in Griffin and keep the culture there, as well as not have to worry about the financial burdens of rising rents. So as you can see in this project, it generates about $12 million of local tax revenue and created about 985 jobs. And these units are very nice 1 to 3 bedroom multifamily apartment units with amenities and such. And the way these tax credits work are low income housing tax credits. So there's a federal component to it, which Monarch Private Capital really does not operate in. And there's the state side. So affordable housing tax credits are produced in streams over 10 years. So you get each stream amount each year. So for example, if this project needed $10 million worth of tax credits, you would get that over the span of 10 years, $1 million a year. So there's a 15-year compliance period too for recapture. So the developers are incentivized to maintain the facilities and make sure a recapture event does not occur. And that could recur if occupancy gets too low, or there's not enough of affordable housing units there, or if they just do not maintain the facilities.
It's incredible. So let me ask you this, Sam. As we're looking at this, and you guys are sharing the different case studies, is this something that most people know about already? Like, do most people are already familiar with it, and they're going to the different resources, or is it something where people are not familiar and they're out there, and just the lack of knowledge and exposure into these is leaving money behind?
So a lot of insurance companies, I will say, are familiar with these types of investments. They like these investments because the state tax credits can offset premium taxes, which a lot of large insurance companies pay in all 50 states. Financial institutions such as banks are very active in this space because they can get community redevelopment credit for this, as well as save on their taxes and accomplish what banks should do, as reinvesting in the community. However, to general taxpayers, other corporations, this is sort of a new area of exploration. And it's becoming more and more known throughout the years. And as it's been pretty prevalent for federal renewable energy tax credits with the new administration and climate change, these are becoming more and more popular. So it has not been as well known in the past, but I believe in the future, these will become very well known.
And we actually work with a lot of CPA firms, and in my conversations, this seems to be something that they may not know a lot about, or may not know anything about. Do you typically work with a lot of CPA firms currently, or do you find that this is something that a lot of them it's new to?
We do work with a lot of CPA firms in areas that have these types of tax credits. So, for example, in Georgia, Georgia's known for the Georgia Film Tax Credit. A lot of film studios have been coming to Georgia, such as the Disneys, the Marvels, and those companies will come to Monarch and they'll say, hey, can you broker these tax credits? So we go out and we talk with a lot of CPA firms. And at first, it was not very well known, but now that it's an established market here in Georgia, a lot of CPA firms are aware of this. So I will say when state credits come to different areas, the CPA firms get more and more aware of these types of investments. On the federal tax credit side, for CPA firms, a lot of them have individuals, and the rules can be a little difficult since only an individual can only use federal tax credits to offset federal income tax from passive investments that's non-portfolio. So like a passive investment in a limited partnership or real estate income that's from a passive investment. So we do try to educate CPAs in different states that do not have per se active state tax credit programs, but these federal credits could absolutely be an opportunity for CPAs in all 50 states.
Great. Ellie, you're going to say something?
Yeah, I was just going to say, is what does Monarch bring to the table? Why wouldn't somebody try and do this themselves? What are the challenges? What are the risks? Are there other things involved in this that people may not be aware of, and things that you and Monarch can help them with?
Yes, absolutely. So there are a lot of risks and there are a lot of barriers to entry. So these tax structures to transfer some of these credits can be very complicated. And a lot of developers do not want to work with groups that have not done this before. So they actively seek syndicators like us that have many years and have done many deals, because in the underwriting process, these deals get beat up. There's a lot of eyes that look at them and they want to make sure they have everything buttoned up. So they would go with a syndication partner to help with that process. Also, a lot of developers like to work with us because of our expertise with assisting with the beginning stages. Also, as I mentioned before, with affordable housing tax credits, there's a recapture period. So we have in-house developers that if anything were to happen or if a project were to go bad, we have developers that we could put in place as well to help mitigate against that, the recapture risk. So if a project or a development the developer was not doing what they were supposed to, we have our developers that will go in to revitalize and bring the project back to ensure a recapture event doesn't happen, or at least mitigate to the best we can.
It makes sense. Definitely. And you guys have the conversations with the clients and will be open to the conversations without billing them on the front end. So they can have an open conversation, gather the data, really understand what the value is before engaging. Is that fair?
Exactly. And then with the federal tax credits, with renewable energy, there's complicated legal structures and tiers and such that we have the expertise with to structure these to make sure they're buttoned up and there's no issues for the end users. So there's a lot that goes into a lot of expertise, a lot of barrier of entries that makes it where it's almost essential to go through a syndicator instead of an individual going directly.
That makes sense.
I will say a lot of institutions have internal groups that are dedicated just to this, and that's the only part where they go direct when they have that expertise.
Definitely. I would say that, and I think this is fair to say, most companies do not have the expertise in-house.
Right. That is correct.
I figured. Well, Sam, thank you for joining us here, and we look forward to having more broadcasts with you. If as people are watching this, when they have questions, want to reach out to you, how can they get in touch with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So they can look on our website at monarchprivatecapital.com, or you can email me directly at saltman@monarchprivate.com, which is SALTMAN, Monarch Private, MONARCH private.com. So
Got it. Very good. Well, we will definitely have more of you on so that you can help people understand, and we'll get more granular in some of these case studies and understand what the benefits as well as the challenges were in future future broadcasts. So thank you again.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thanks, Sam.